I was looking through the YouTube channels and I realized that there isn't really much on first time home buyers here in the island of Oahu in Hawaii. And so I've decided to create this video and answer some of the most common questions about the entire island as a first time home buyer. So, again, if you're interested in getting to know a little bit more about what the steps could possibly look like as far as any type of properties recommendation by a professional real estate agent, which is me, obviously. I've been doing real estate for the past 10 years here in the island. I've helped tons and tons of families acquire their first, their second, and their third home. And first time home buyer is personally my personal favorite, only because I love seeing the changes, within people's lives. And that's exactly what real estate does. They change a lot of people's lives, especially here on the island. The trajectory of how fast properties go up in value is so extravagantly exciting sometimes, especially if you have already owned your property. But if you don't own your property and you play that waiting game, obviously for some people it could be a very depressing experience. And so my goal here is to give you a general idea on what it's like to be a first-time home buyer here on the island. What are some of the locations that I would recommend, and hopefully you can learn a thing or two about first time home buyer slash seminar here in the island of Hawaii. Keep watching.
$27 million in transactions.
34 transactions in 2024.
Total of $180 million in total sales.
Yes, and welcome to Hey Leary 2024. As we close out, we are so ready for 2025. Now, whether you're new to the island or you are already residing on the island, this next question is also very important as to which areas of the island makes the most sense. And truth be told, there's really two main cities or two main areas within the island. That is East Oahu, and East Oahu is usually near Ala Moana Shopping Center, that Diamond Head landmark. You got your Waikiki there, your downtown. That's your main city of the island. And truth be told, if you're a first-time home buyer in these sections, they're not really offering much first-time home buyer pricing. And if you do, it's going to be expected in an older building, which again, if location is the most important for you, I would highly recommend you keep it at that. You want to be close to work, but expect that $500,000 price point to be at a very old building with possibly higher maintenance fees ranging well above $1,000. So that's kind of what you want to expect. Now, if you want great pricing, brand new, truth be told, development properties, D.R. Horton, Gentry is some of the most popular here on the island. It has to be on the west side of the island. So west side is an up and coming city with just a decade ago there wasn't any Targets, there wasn't any Home Depots, there wasn't any Costco's, there wasn't a lot of activities and jobs. And fast forward to today, there's so much things happening on the west side of the island that sometimes even people in East Oahu have no clue what's going on the west side, and they think it's still the boonies. And yes, I do own all of my properties on West Oahu as well. So yes, possibly I might be a little bit biased, but if you ask me, take a trip to both sides of the island and really take a look at what you can get for your first time home buyer price point. And so if you were to ask me which area, which location within the island that should be catered more towards first time home buyer, I'm going to say the biggest bang for your buck is always going to be west side of the island. So again, check out my videos, follow me on social media, on Instagram, and I do a lot of first time home buyers, brand new developments at Alana and Kapili, which is going on right now over at Ho'opili by D.R. Horton. And these homes averages anywhere from $580,000 all the way up to the higher, more price attractive, close to about $700,000 for those 3-bedroom units. So again, let me know if you're interested in these brochures. I would love to email them to you. Send me a message on my email, say, hey Chris, I want to get to know a little bit more about these brochures, and I'd love to send it over to you. All right, so as far as recommendation, that answers the first question. Now, the question there is why. And one of the main reasons why I also recommend brand new developments is simply because of the interest rates that they're offering. So as we are speaking right now on February 27th, interest rates right now is averaging about 7.25 for the outside market. Some of them possibly 7% depending on which lender you talk to and depending on your down payment options and how much maybe possibly points you can purchase. But right now, the top choice has to be a D.R. Horton by Ho'opili in Pohaku Estates, communities Alana and Kapili averaging about 5.99% for interest rates, and VA loans are about 5.5. So again, if you're in the military, man, and you're first time home buyer, these homes are again going to be the best, the most beautiful, brand new. Again, no worries about plumbing or electric problems, on those some of those older buildings. And of course, maintenance fees, they are always going to be the most attractive. And don't sleep on Gentry as well. Gentry has some of the most beautiful layouts, townhome configurations. Some of them are reserve housing, averaging $610,000 to $685,000. And then you got your market townhomes. They are a little bit more higher in price point compared to Ho'opili. It's right behind Costco in West Oahu, right by Target, Wet and Wild, Ko'olina Disney Resort. And those properties, I would say, townhomes averaging anywhere from closer to $700,000 all the way, it can go all the way up to $780,000 depending on which configuration you choose. So that's a little bit about why. And again, just to play that comparison basis, if you were to purchase a development high rise by Ward Village, the average one bedroom in this area could range anywhere from $1 million to $2 million. So again, that's when I like to say, first time home buyer, individual, your average Joe, working class, probably not a one bedroom $1 million, right? It's more of, a little bit more of the, I would say, I don't want to call it the upper class, but yes, definitely you got to be making some good money in order for you to be at Ward Village. So if you're interested in Ward Village, by the way, I also help out people live that dream, live that paradise life here on the island. I'd love to send you all the information as I can get about Ward Village. So moving forward, development property versus resale. And as I mentioned, availability is one that is, I would say okay for both. There are available resale properties. There's also available brand new development homes. And that's a great thing because of interest rate going so high now. We're not playing that lottery game. Although Gentry is still doing lottery for some of these homes just to be able to distribute the properties on a fairly manner, whereas D.R. Horton is a first come first serve. The first step is to get pre-approved with their local lender, and then basically from there they'll give you a letter, and then you can do your $5,000 deposit to go ahead and reserve a home. Now the next question you probably want to ask me is, Chris, what is my first step, or what should I do first? Should I start looking for my property, or should I go ahead and start getting myself pre-qualified? And to me, the rule is find out the property first. And the reason why I say this is because certain developments offer certain preferred lenders. And I do have, lender friends out there in the outside development area, and they're really my close friend. And at the same time, I want to give them business, but I always got to protect my clients. I always got to tell them, hey, whatever the mortgage they're offering on the development sales, if it's better, we'll definitely have to go with that, only because I got to do everything I can to protect my buyers. And so the answer to that is find out which development you want to work with first, and then work with their preferred lender. And preferred lender is something somebody that I can connect you with if you're interested. And the hot market right now, I would say, has to be Alana and Kapili. Obviously because of that 5.99% interest rate, as well as a $4,000 closing cost. Perfect for people who just really is getting started on their real estate investment. And so their preferred lenders, I can usually connect you on an email base, and you can, pre-qualify online. From there, you get to take a deep look into your wallet, see what you qualify for, see what you can afford. Then we can start doing our mortgage estimates. And doesn't mean you qualify for $1 million. It doesn't mean you want that $1 million mortgage. So yes, I always tell my clients, focus on the mortgage and see what comfort level you have as far as your monthly mortgage expense. You can calculate your electricity into there, your maintenance fee, your water bill, whatever the normal expenses are, so that way you know exactly how much it's going to cost in the end. And from there, then you decide what kind of floor plan makes the most sense for you. So that's my ultimate rule. And then from there, I could obviously dissect some of these floor plans if they are kind of in comparison prices, and that way we can reserve the perfect unit based on your criteria, your price point. So that's a little bit about development properties. Now resale properties, talk about resale. And if you don't know anything about resale, it just means you're buying it from someone or somebody. It's a person. It's not a development like D.R. Horton or Gentry. You're buying it from an individual, whether it's like myself or any human being, I should say. And resale is usually non-brand new properties, which means if it has already been lived in, doesn't necessarily mean they're beat down or they're terrible condition. Some of these resale properties are beautiful, and they maybe have a configuration or a style that you specifically want that is not being offered onto this development property. So if you're interested in any of these types of resale properties currently available, both sold, so that way you can do comparison basis. Again, send me your email. I can go ahead and send that out to you and show you exactly what the market is going on here in West Oahu or East Oahu, or even all the way up to the North Shore side of the island. So that's a little bit about resale. Now, pricing, if we're talking about prices on a resale property versus a brand new development, truth be told, resale properties tend to be a lot more higher in price. Why? It's because you're buying it from a person. Here in Hawaii, you never sell a home lower in price than what you purchased for, especially if you're looking at 5-year increment or 10-year increment. There's no such home that's cheaper. So yes, most likely resale properties do tend to be higher in price, and development properties do tend to be lower in price. Why? Is because I like to look at them as like the Walmart. They buy things in bulk, whether it's the wood, the nails, the labor, the materials, everything is in bulk. So when they sell it back to you, obviously they can be very competitive with the price point. And so attractiveness, yes, brand new developments tend to be a lot more attractive in pricing, especially for what you're getting, especially it's brand new, and usually it's not in a perfect condition, but it is beautiful. Without any scratches, nobody have ever lived in it. You're basically starting the legacy of this property. Now, going back to interest rate on resale properties, interest rates do tend to be a lot higher on resale market. Why? Because they're non-developments. So here's a couple of the things that I learned about development properties. The way that they are able to lower down the interest rate is they utilize their own money in order for them to help you lower down the interest rate. So I love that idea. Obviously, because well, they have billions and billions of dollars. They can offer these great incentives at 5.99% versus resale market as we speak today, closer to about 7% to possibly even 8%, depending on which lender you choose. And these interest rates really do matter and affect your mortgage by a lot. So again, I would highly recommend you definitely look at both if you want to, just for comparison basis, and see which one works best for you. And the next one is down payment. Oh, this is a very important topic. Down payment for first-time home buyers. A lot of the time, as my friends come up to me and say, "Chris, I want to reach out to you. I want to buy my first home. I'm gonna save $100,000 first, and then I'll be more confident." And here's the problem. Most of the time, a lot of my buyers, a lot of my friends, they end up in this hamster wheel. As they try to save money or too much money, the properties of the homes just continue to keep going up. And so it just gets very discouraging. So here's my rule. Whatever the price point is, go with the bare minimum down payment, whether it's 3%, 3.5%, 5%, or if you're in the military, go with that obvious zero down percent. And here's why. The mortgage difference between a $20,000 to $30,000 down payment versus a $100,000 down payment. Here's how you can calculate it. Every $100,000 down payment, it's only $500 difference within that mortgage. So anything I always like to tell my clients is, hey, if you can hold on to that $100,000 and maybe suck it up and just pay an extra $500 in your mortgage, I think having that money in your pocket just really creates a little bit more discomfort level. So again, it really depends on your aspect, your criteria, your ideal money, and just the way that you like to hold your finances. What most is comfortable to you is what you go with. But again, me as a real estate agent, man, go with that 3%, 3.5%, or 5% down payment, depending on which interest rate offers you the best. Because really in mortgage, that extra 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, it really doesn't matter as much. So the only time I would ever recommend you do a high down payment option is if you're selling a property and possibly walking out with a lump sum of $200,000 to $300,000 to avoid any type of taxes that you want to pay. I always like to tell my clients, hey, grab all that money and dump it into the next home, so that way you don't got to pay taxes. And that's what it is. As long as it's a primary residence that you're selling and you're jumping into another primary residence, no taxes will be paid on that transition. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. So that's a little bit about down payment. And again, development properties, you can do as low as 3% down payment. I remember doing one in resale as far as, buying a property from someone. The property has been in the market for quite some time. So what we are able to do is request for what we call seller credits. You can ask the sellers, hey, instead of lowering down the price, can I please get 20 or $30,000 in closing costs? And I like that idea. Why? Because in closing costs, you can do two things. First one is you can lower down the interest rate, and the second one is you can remove your closing costs, allowing your down payment to even be less. So again, just depending on what the lenders require or what they recommend, those are the kind of questions I like to ask my lenders. Hey, we're gonna get $20,000. We're gonna get $20,000 in closing cost credit. If you were in our position, what is the best way to utilize this closing costs? And from there, they can lay it all out to you. I like to always give that part to the mortgage expert and the loan experts, so that way they can financially guide us. And that's gonna be pretty much it. But really, this last question is very important. For all you first-time home buyers out there, everyone who's buying today in 2025, they all have mainly one goal in mind, and that is to refinance into a lower interest rate. And why are you aiming to do this is because obviously, truth be told, everyone knows interest rate is definitely a lot more on the higher side today compared to what it was 2 to 3 years ago. And so whenever my buyers ask me, hey Chris, will mortgage ever go down? Answer is yes to me. Then I think the goal here is to solidify that property so that way you're not playing that waiting game of it going up in pricing or value, and you're not playing that rat race, that chasing game. Okay, so that's a little bit about mortgages. Yes, they do go down. Mine specifically did go down, because during the pandemic I was able to refinance into that lower interest rate, allowing my housing expense to be definitely a lot lower, a lot cheaper than your average renters out there in today's market. So do I recommend getting into a home right now? The answer to me is always obvious. Yes, especially if it makes sense for your money. Everybody has their own timeline. If it makes sense for your money and you think that getting into a home is something that you definitely want to do instead of renting, and you like to invest, then I would highly recommend. It all makes sense. Now that's a little bit about your first time home buyer seminars here in the island of Oahu. Just a little bit more of a general statement. If you want me to do a little bit more of a calculation for you specifically on your income, your credit score, and your mortgage budget, go ahead and reach out to us. My name is Christopher Tolentino, a local real estate agent here in the island of Oahu. I've helped tons of family become homeowners, and so here's my information on the below. Let's go ahead and get connected, and hopefully this video helped you out a little bit today. Thanks for watching.